Good morning and welcome to another episode of Punk Rock Ham Radio. I am your host, KM6TWI, that punk rock ham radio guy. We are out here at Lake Wawasee State Fishing Area in Indiana. It is February 2nd. It is not January anymore because February comes after January. And slowly but surely the days are getting a little bit longer. We're not out of the woods yet of wintertime. It's not as cold today though. It's almost 40 degrees. This lake over here is frozen solid and there's a bunch of people out there ice fishing and driving golf carts around on the frozen lake, which is really cool, and it makes me really happy to see people enjoying the outdoors, doing outdoor stuff in the dead of winter in Indiana. Lake Wawasee is frozen solid. There's people driving golf carts around and dragging like winter shelters and propane heaters and things out there to go fishing in the middle of the lake. There's a guy doing donuts out there a minute ago. I could probably walk on it, but I don't have any experience doing that and I don't know what to look out for. So California boy is gonna stay here with my feet on the ground. But that's really cool. It's really nice to see that not everybody is hibernating in Indiana in the winter. Apparently ice fishing is a thing out here. That actually looks like fun. I could get into that. There's a bunch of condos and vacation rental type places out here. And it's a nice day to get on the air and activate some parks. We're set up over there. So on today's episode, we got a G90 and a Yaesu 891 set up. Let's take a look at these radios.
CQ POTA, CQ POTA, CQ POTA. This is Kilo Echo 9, Bravo Mike Whiskey calling CQ Parks on the Air. CQ Parks on the Air at US 11998. CQ Parks on the Air.
Say hi, Dan, to all the nice people on YouTube.
Hi, YouTube.
The park is activated on 17 meters with 20 watts on the G90. This is a cool radio, man. And this is my friend Dan, KE9 BMW. He's a new ham and he's a very smart man. Be like Dan and pass your technician and your general within 2 weeks of studying for the test and become a new ham. Welcome, Dan, to Ham Radio.
Thanks. It's been fun so far. So Alan's really the one that bullied me into doing it at work.
Yeah.
So he bullied me into getting my license and then got me hooked on doing soda and POTA. So
I spent his money for him on this G90.
yeah, it was very true. I actually almost bought an 891, and then Alan was like, I have an 891, but I want to check out a G90, so you should buy a G90.
Because somebody in our group needs to have a G90, because it's always a good idea just to have one of everything. So these are these radios. Let's take a look at these. So these are our two radios. This is a Xiegu G90. This is a Yaesu 891. This radio is like $200 more expensive than this radio. They are both very good radios, but take a look at these and the size difference. This is a 100 watt radio. This is a 20 watt radio. This radio has an antenna tuner. This one doesn't. G90 has a cool little waterfall. Yaesu 891 looks like an alarm clock. As far as the weight of these radios, this is a bigger radio, but they weigh almost the same. This would by far be the more backpackable radio. You could put a Yaesu 891 in your backpack and go up Mount Baldy in California if you really wanted to, although I would avoid taking this on up a big mountain. There's certainly other QRP radios that would be better for that sort of a thing, but the G90 is a really cool radio. The Yaesu 891 is a really cool radio, and the menu system isn't really that bad once you get used to it. Like, I know every little menu in here, except I don't have the Deep F menu memorized, but usually I just leave it on menu 16-01, which is where all of the power settings are, and then all the other stuff, once you get it set up, you don't really have to get in there to mess around with all of that stuff. What say you you, Dan, about the G90. What do you like about it?
So I like it's pretty small and lightweight and easy to move around. It doesn't draw a ton of power, so you don't have to bring a huge battery with it. And it's super easy to get around on because pretty much everything that you need is just buttons right on the front panel. There's not really any menu diving. The most there is like there's a function button that gets you some of the other functions on here, so you can go in and like change your mic gain. You can go back in, you can super easily change your frequencies just by like tabbing through over there. You can change it by like 100 this way.
This is a cool radio, man.
There's a waterfall display on there. It's super easy to go in and like change your filters around if you need to get away from some noise.
It's drawing 0.6 amps on receive and about 2.6 amps on transmit on voice, so that makes this thing way more power efficient than the Yaesu 891. I don't need to put the power meter on the 891 to tell you that it draws over an amp on receive, and I've seen this thing at like even 50 watts, like 11 amps, I think. If you do all 100, I forget, but it's a lot of amps.
I think the two things that really sealed the deal for me buying this was the waterfall display on here, because it makes it super easy to go through and find stations that are on there. Let's hop down to 20 meters so you can see what it looks like when there's actually stuff on there. So it's super easy to find where you're at and find a clear channel if you need to transmit. And then the built-in antenna tuner, because it lets you use like all sorts of cool antennas, like my end-fed random wire antenna over here.
And you can change bands by just pressing a couple of buttons, basically.
I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna jump on the Yaesu 891. We got 17 meters activated on this radio. We got 12 contacts in about 15 minutes. So I'd say that's pretty good. Going from the G90 to the 891 just sounds like a good idea. And we have them both here. So let's go ahead and do that. Activate the Yaesu 891. You also need one of these if you're gonna use a random wire antenna like Dan, so it's another thing you have to plug in, but you got 100 watts, which is nice to have. You don't really necessarily need all of those watts. And just for comparison's sake, this thing has this scope display on it, and it looks like this, which is still usable for something. It's not really a waterfall. It's just like an alarm clock looking scope display, but it's nice to have. It's better than nothing. So we're gonna go ahead and bang out some more QSOs on the 891. One other thing we just noticed is the speaker is better on the Yaesu 891, so that's cool. We're doing 50 watts right now on the 891 through the random wire antenna and the AT100M Pro antenna tuner. And I'm not breaking through the pileup even with more watts, but I think there's a big pileup going on. And these stations probably a lot more powerful than even an 891.
Yeah, because we can't even crank this up all the way with that antenna.
Yeah, probably could for just a minute, but it's your antenna. I don't want to break your antenna.
We don't have to.
Never break another man's antenna. Or a radio. All right, we're all done. We activated 17 meters and 20 meters on a G90 and an 891. We're wrapping up. I want to show you guys a couple more things, the antenna that we're using, and I want to take one last look at the radios before we pack everything up and put everything away and go on our merry little way back to where we came from. This is Tim's antenna, November 9, SAB. Tim, if you're watching this, thanks for hooking up my buddy Dan. And this is what, a random wire?
Yep, end-fed random wire antenna, so not resident on any band, but that means I can tune to literally any band from 40 meters to 6 meters. So that's why we were able to do 17.
On his G90 just by pressing a couple of the buttons. And this is the wire here, just sloped up. This is the ham radio dude, Little Dude 6 mast. And this thing's really cool too. It's just leaned up against a tree, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how we did that. Before we put these radios away, I want to take one more last look at them. One other thing about the 891 is this stupid power connector thing. I don't even know what this thing is called, but if this cable breaks, I won't be able to turn on my radio. The G90, on the other hand, has a power pole DC input. Good job, that's cool. There's a mod you can do to put a power pole on this. I'm sure a lot of you probably already know about that. We'll probably do that at some point, but I'm not sure how I feel about opening my radio up just yet. We'll see about that. So here's like the size comparison of these two radios. The G90 is definitely smaller on that side, and then also this angle too. There's that. They both weigh about the same. I'd say the G90 is slightly lighter, but this is a 100 watt radio. This is a 20 watt radio with a tuner in it. Which is the best radio? I don't really know. They're both really cool radios, and it was a lot of fun getting to play with both of these radios. So that's what these radios look like. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a G90 and a Yaesu 891. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, smash that like button, all of that YouTube stuff, and I will see you guys on the next episode of Punk Rock Ham Radio.